Hey everybody, it's Lisa Copeland. Happy Monday, yay. So my favorite thing to do on Mondays is to do my show, my longer than 15 minutes of fear show, Big Sellers, where I talk to people who take a big idea and then they create impact. And today is no different. I've got my friend Chris Walsh on, who is the managing partner of Vets, and that's with an S, vetscars.com. Hey Chris, how are you?
Hey, Lisa, I'm well, thank you. And you?
I am doing good. Look, we've already got people jumping on. So I want to thank you, first of all, for taking the time out of your day and for just pouring into our audience, because you and I were introduced by a very dear mutual friend of both of ours, Craig Lockhart.
Yep.
And I think our first conversation lasted over 2 hours.
I know.
Like, when does that happen?
Friday, thank you.
Yeah, it was almost like a good date, except that I've been married for 30 years. So it was just a good business conversation.
Well, it's like, Craig's theme for his thing next week, Synergy. We felt it pretty quickly.
Yeah, no, I'm very excited about that. So I want you to tell everybody, what is your background? Like I said, I normally don't even spend 2 minutes on the phone with somebody, let alone 2 hours. So I wanted to get you on the show. I mean, you are truly a big seller. You are somebody who took a big idea and you're making big impact. And so I want you to tell our audience about you and your background.
Well, when people ask me how long I've been in the car business, my response is usually that I was taking ups before the advent of the federally mandated high mount brake light. Matter of fact, my first delivery was a brand new 1983 Chevy Spectrum. I was in retail. I did everything from chase ups right up through executive general manager at a large Chevy store, until about 2008, when I stepped over to the dark side, the vendor world. And it was 2010 when I had the inspiration for Vetscars. It came as a result of a conversation I had with a Korean War veteran Marine who had lost a leg and a lung at the Battle of Chosin Reservoir. And he related to me his absolutely atrocious experience trying to buy a pickup truck and have his mobility equipment, his scooter lift and his hand controls installed in this truck. And something Carl said during our conversation really resonated with me. He said, there ought to be an easier way for those of us who have served our country to buy a car. And that was the birth of Vetscars.
Wow. So that was now you yourself, Chris, you're a veteran.
Yes, I am. Air Force.
So and thank you for your service. And I mean that from the bottom of my heart. So tell us about your experience in the military.
Well, I never heard a shot fired in anger. I was what's called a 908 voice processing specialist. This was before the fall of the Soviet Union. And I spent most of my tour of duty with headphones on, transmitting, listening to the conversations coming from Polish jet fighters and Tupolev bombers circling the Arctic Circle.
Wow, well, that's pretty interesting. But obviously,
I invited a couple of my Marine Corps friends to be on this today, and of course, the Marine Corps calls the Air Force the Chair Force. We all do what we can do.
You all do what you can do. Well, again, thank you for your service. But I love that I don't know that I love it, but from a bad experience, a big idea was born, right? And not only does your company serve veterans, but you also have a passion for first responders. So tell us about the first responder community.
Well, let me go back to my career as a general manager. I had a culture in my dealership. I told my guys, we're going to change the perception of the car business one customer at a time. Ever since I first got in, of course, I got in, I see Craig Lockhart's on the phone. It was a Wild West show back in the 70s and 80s. We all know that. Those of us who chased ups around the lot know what I'm talking about.
Oh, yeah.
The perception has gotten better. And the internet is partly to blame for that. It's more of a customer-driven experience now than it used to be. When I started Vetscars, we weren't as technical as we are now. We are designed to identify and promote the right dealers to the 35 million member consumer demographics made up by active and reserve duty military, veterans, and law enforcement. 35 million people. Think about it.
Wow.
1 out of every almost 3 Americans has a direct or family relationship to these the folks that serve. So I ran Vets Cars until late 2015, and I turned it over to 2 young men who were working for me, one an Army Staff Sergeant, the other Marine Corps Lance Corporal, both with multiple deployments to the Middle East. And just a few months ago, my current business partner, who's sitting to my left, Brad Deveran, and I retook control of the company, and we are going through a launch right now.
Well, bring him on. If he's there, bring him on.
Yeah,
So Brad, I just want to make sure that you you did your hair today and all that, right?
Yeah, my makeup's out there.
You make it good.
Now, when I say we identify and promote the right dealers, we like to call ourselves an association of dealers who are identified and promoted to this demographic so that a bond of trust and commerce can be formed. This is the point in the interviews where I normally tell people, if you truly believe in 2018 that price and price alone is the only thing that's selling cars, save yourself some time and get off the call. But I think we all know that that's not true. Our business is becoming more and more and more about the customer experience. So when a dealer can say to a member of this very large and deserving demographic, you know what, your service means something to us. We have committed to giving you an experience in our dealership that is going to be a reflection of our deep and sincere gratitude for what you did and for what you're doing. We included law enforcement this time around because we have an agreement with law enforcement today, as well as Kyle Reyes at the Whiskey Patriots. Between the two of those organizations, they see about 500,000 unique site visitors each month, and they are going to be promoting the Vets Cars program to their members. What we do for dealers is actually kind of fourfold. First of all, on our website, vetscars.com, we provide a directory listing, which is linked to a very carefully keyworded landing page. We also provide dealers with our awareness for their marketing awareness efforts. And one small slice of that is our logo with a call to action goes onto a dealer's website. Now, I think, hey, Kylan, how you doing, man? Dave Siebenaller is on the call from Findlay Chrysler Dodge Jeep. So the example I always use, if I'm in Ohio and I am looking for a Dodge Ram, let's say, at my dining room table or on my phone, I can go on 5 or 6 dealer websites. And I think we can all admit in this business that other than coloration and fonts, dealership websites start to look eerily the same.
Right.
Everybody's got the same vehicles. Everybody's trumpeting the latest factory offers, and that's great. But as a consumer, I come to Findlay Chrysler Dodge Jeep, and I see a logo with a call to action that says, Veterans, Law Enforcement, First Responders. Please click here. What's this mean? I'm a retired Marine. I'm going to click on that. It opens to the aforementioned, very carefully keyworded landing page that says, thank you for your service. Here at Findlay Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram in Findlay, Ohio, we're proud that our reputation for fair and square business practices has earned us an invitation into the auto business's only association of dealers who pledge to really take care of those who have taken care of us. So now what we are doing, what we hope to do with this, is to differentiate for that dealer from his competition. Now, it comes with a price. A dealer must commit to our code of conduct when working with members of the military and law enforcement demographics. It's a very careful code of conduct because we want to walk the walk. We want our dealers to afford these individuals, as I said, an experience that is a reflection of their gratitude. This is a culture which needs to be inculcated into a dealership. Hey, Dan, how you doing, buddy?
Yeah, and saying if you work it, it works. So let me ask you something.
Sure.
You started a movement. I mean, that's what this is. This is a movement that you're asking dealers to join your movement. And, you know, it isn't that every dealer can sign up. And I'm very proud to say that my team has got the exclusive for Texas for these dealers. And because that's what I loved about this in the beginning, because it falls into the business plan of what I do. and what my team does. And that is building a movement within the automotive industry, building a movement of good behavior, eradicating the bad behavior. And, and so many times, we see it with women, and which of course I've been very passionate about. And then you would think that our first responders, our military, the people that put their lives on the line every single day, that they would almost receive a patriotic welcome walking into any business. But it's exactly opposite than that, isn't it? So many times.
There's a phrase that you and I discussed that just about everyone who has ever served has heard: soldier trap. And around an awful lot of military bases, there are some unscrupulous auto dealers, jewelry stores, furniture stores.
Yeah, I was about to say, it isn't just auto dealers. It's just retail in general, right? People trying to prey on people that have come back from being overseas. A lot of them are young. They've got some cash in their pockets, and and they're kind of ready to let their hair down a little bit because they've been in some foreign land or in a desert somewhere. And I'm 45 minutes from Fort Hood, the largest Army base in the world. Right. And up in Killeen, Texas. And, and that's what happens. I sat on the board of the USO for many, many years. It's just my absolute passion. And just to see the way that they would prey on these young soldiers when they would come back and sell them cars that they couldn't afford, or, the jewelry they can't afford, or, and so all of a sudden, all that money that they accumulated when they were in the desert, that they worked so hard for, all of a sudden now it's just poof, it's gone.
Well, you're right. There are unscrupulous dealers. There's also a lot of great dealers out there. Yeah, and what we hope to do is provide a differentiation for those dealers. There's a huge debate going on in our business right now, outbound versus inbound messaging, bringing more organic leads, bringing more people to our site, giving people a reason to buy, a value proposition, a why buy here advantage over our competition. And there's some great programs out there. Yours is one of the best. We like to think ours is really, really strong as well. And again, it gives a dealer the opportunity to give his team something to be proud about.
Or her team, Chris.
I'm sorry?
I said, or her team.
Or her team. Absolutely. As a matter of fact, one of our best dealers in the program last time was Time Dealer of the Year, Judy Schumacher Tilton. In New Jersey. She is a great lady.
Obstacles, Chris, have you faced trying to launch this movement? What has been the number one thing because in theory, this is really amazing that we are going to give an accelerated buying experience to the nation's bravest soldiers and first responders. And you would think everybody would jump on board. But just like you and I talked about, because there are people on this show, Chris, that are not in the automotive industry, right? They're here because they have got a business that they're looking how to take their big idea and create impact. Because I believe, and I talked about this morning on 15 Minutes of Fierce, I believe that every person in this world wants to leave a legacy. I really do. I fundamentally believe that God gives us that in our hearts and souls, and they don't know how to do it. They don't know how to take that idea and create impact. So what kind of, you guys are doing great now, but I know you had to have faced some obstacles putting together this movement.
Well, when we started this business, there was close to 8,000 guys and gals deployed downrange. So there was an awful lot of patriotic feeling in our country. Mm-hmm. But we found that a lot of that started and ended with yellow ribbons on the back of cars, support the troops. It's great to say. The other thing the challenge of that time was that the third-party lead programs were really on fire in our business in 12, 13, 14, 15. We were somewhat classified as a lead provider, which I try to disabuse a decision maker in the first paragraph that we are not a lead provider. Are you going to get eyeballs from our site? Absolutely. But the combination of our social campaigns, the awareness that we're going to help you create through ongoing training with your sales management, BDC, and marketing teams is going to allow this culture to grow in your dealership, where whenever a veteran, first responder, law enforcement official comes onto your website, speaks with a member of your BDC, or walks into your showroom, that individual is going to say, I think I found the dealership I want to do business with. That's our goal. We like to say that Dealers are our clients, and the members of this demographic are our inventory. That sounds cold-hearted, but it's not. It's our job to make sure that this culture establishes a foothold in dealership and everybody's proud of it. When I first started selling cars, a man who's very, very dear to me still to this point in my life, George Hart, said to me, you're going to be one of two kind of car guys. You're either going to sell one car at a time, or you're going to sell one car. You're going to sell the sister, you're going to sell the brother, you're going to sell the father, you're going to sell the friends. So one deal works into six. I say that because this demographic is extremely close-knit. What did I say? I made you laugh on Friday when we were talking. How many cop shows have we seen where, all the cops get off shift, and they all go to the same bar to drink and relax and unwind and decompress?
Kind of like what all the car salesmen do.
Yes, same thing.
We travel in packs.
We gravitate to our comfort zone. So when a Marine or a soldier or a cop has a phenomenal experience with a business, whatever that business might be, not just dealerships, right, they're going to tell their buddies, hey, are you aware of what Copeland Toyota is involved in? I went in there. They told me, they thanked me for my service. They had me sign the Wall of Honor in their showroom where all these other vets and law enforcement officials had signed their names. And then everything was transparent. It was upfront. The manager came out. He greeted me. He thanked me. Our hope is that every veteran that walks into one of our member dealers is going to bring friends. And anecdotally, we've seen it happen. I've got a couple of guys that have been in the program. Dan Matranga is one of them. He knows that that's true. He's seen it happen. You asked me what our obstacles were, and I was talking about leads. Also, any vendor on this call right now, anybody that deals in the auto world, we know that sometimes our efforts don't necessarily become ingrained. So we can train and train and train. I think Anthony Alagona is on this call. Excuse me. He said to me, I'll leave BDC training and I've got 10 guys and gals working like a Swiss watch. But then, the world comes in on you and you forget over weeks or months. So we provide ongoing training. We want this to be top of mind. We want our dealers to remember and their teams that they're part of something special. They're part of a movement. Your business means more to me than just seeing your taillights go out of my parking lot. I care about you. You put on a uniform in the morning, you don't even know if you're going to come home and kiss your daughter hello in the afternoon. You cannot, in my dealership, have a lousy experience. I won't allow that to happen. And when this does become part of the culture, business gets fun and proud.
Can't hear her mic.
Did I lose your mic? Hey, Brad.
Can't hear
you. We lost audio here, darling.
It's not ours. Definitely her side.
Can't hear you. I don't know. I don't know. It's not on our side.
No, it's not.
Got no audio.
You type it in?
They can't hear her either. No, we lost audio.